Hello everyone, welcome to Cellopedia, this is Maxim. Today we will continue working on Piatti Cello Method. And we will learn how to play spiccato and prepare for this bow stroke using detache. We will also work on string crossings while playing spiccato and legato. In order to learn all of that, we will work on two wonderful etudes by Kummer. Both of them are written in D major. So it might be helpful for you to review how to play D major scale. We worked on that in detail in our previous lesson. And I'll put a link in the description so you can access a playlist and review, if necessary, all Piatti Cello Method lessons. Kummer, etude number 12, page 45. We have to prepare to play it in a fast tempo, so your bow will start bouncing off the string. We will use tempo 60 and keep the bow on the string using the bow stroke detache. Let's now work on this etude measure by measure. As I mentioned to you, I played it detache and I used a lower part of the bow. The same part we will be using when we'll try to play it faster and using spiccato, off-string bow stroke. Make sure that you check your wrist. It will have to be flexible in order to make sure that when you move from string to string, your bow will get the best angle, so that will help for the sound and articulation. So I just played one measure and I had to make number of string crossings. In order to do that, your bow will have to change its angle. No matter how little bow you will be using, it will still be extremely important that you take care of it. I will do it now even slower. Try to observe what is happening with my wrist. With every string, the bow moved and changed its angle. And it's not only the bow or wrist, it's your elbow. You will have to make sure that your elbow doesn't actually follow each string crossings right away. In other words, when you have to go to the higher string, your elbow actually has to anticipate this movement. Otherwise, it will look like this. You can see it looks very robotic and it will create similar sound. Let's now talk about fingerings. Here you will have to choose between extended position and normal position. In the first measure, you have to use extended position right away. Your second finger will play B. By the way, if you would like to get extra help with fingerings and you can support Cellopedia, I will put a copy of those two etudes with extra fingerings. And you can get it if you become a Patreon supporter. Link in the description. We will start in the extended position, and you have to keep your left hand in this extended position for almost 3 measures. At the end of the third measure, you see that B natural is marked with the third finger. This is where you get back to the normal first position without extension. In measure number 4, you have to make extension again to reach C sharp. Usually, when you have to change position from normal to extended position, then you have fingerings printed. If you don't see fingerings, that usually means that you shouldn't change position. A very interesting part of this etude starts in the third measure of the second line. Here you have to make many string crossings. And it even sounds that you will play 2 voices. One voice will be open string and another voice will be a moving line. In the third and fourth measures of this line, this melodic moving line is on the D string. I would recommend to make sure that you keep your elbow in D string position compared to the higher position for A string. That will help you to play all notes on the D string slightly louder, and you will be reaching A string just turning very gently your wrist. Another challenge in those 2 measures is your left hand position. You have to make sure that your fingers are not touching open A string. Otherwise, you will get whistling sound and will be very confused what's going on here. Try to keep all fingers as round as possible, because sometimes you could keep them a little bit on the flat side, but here it's just impossible. So that will require special attention. Here is the close up of those 2 measures with the left hand. In the next 2 measures, melody goes to the top string. And here it makes sense to slightly lift your elbow so all the notes on A string will sound brighter. And then you will be just reaching the D string with gently turning your wrist. In the slower tempo, you can actually move your elbow every time you move from one string to another. But once you try to play faster, you will notice that it will be much more difficult to do, if not impossible. Try making a shift to F sharp when you have to play open strings. In other words, don't make this shift in the last moment, but use the time you have given to play open strings to prepare the new position. And the last measure, it looks a bit confusing. You have the half note and then you have to play pizzicato right away. What is usually done is that this half note becomes something like quarter note, and this way you'll get extra time to prepare for pizzicato. it is up to you how to play this pizzicato. There are many options. You can play arpeggiato, strumming string one after another in fairly slow tempo. If you like, you can make it faster, or even try to play it all together using thumb for lower two strings and then second and third finger for top two strings. How to do it will be your artistic choice. I prefer in this case to play arpeggiato. After you spend some time working on this etude, then it is time to increase the speed, to make it more challenging. Because if you don't increase the speed, you will not get a chance to play spiccato. Learning to play spiccato or trying to improve it, it's a very tricky process. What you have to do is you have to be very patient and also just pay attention what is happening when you make very little changes. Because you will have to try different parts of the bow, and sometimes little difference in bow placement will change the character of the bow stroke. I would recommend placing the bow approximately 1/4 of its length from the frog and playing just on one note, say A on the G string. Playing on the same note is extremely useful exercise. Just make sure that you don't help the bow to bounce off by dropping it to play the first note. It might seem to be counterintuitive, but you will have to learn to start spiccato from the string. So for the brief moment you put the bow on the string, you need to feel the resistance of the string and start playing. To help the bow to bounce off the string, you will have to make sure that it gets enough energy. And your first motion, again from the string, will have to be that you will gently press the bow down. And you will feel that the bow will give you some resistance. And this resistance will help it to bounce off the string. You will need to practice it again, and again. And what you will need to figure out is how to maintain this bouncing motion. You do it too much, you help too much the bow to do that, and you will get clumsy bow stroke like this. You will do it too little and you might lose control too. So imagine that when you practice, you are a scientist and you run experiment. Change the way you play just a little bit and observe what is happening. And when you are happy with the result, try to repeat it again. And this is how you will build muscle memory. So you will play spiccato effortlessly without even thinking what is going on with your right hand. And now I will play it for you in the tempo half note 80. This faster tempo will allow me to use spiccato. You see forte at the beginning? Well, you don't have to play extremely loud. I think the most important thing is to make your right hand as active as possible. but it might be more useful for you to think mezzo forte to achieve this bow stroke quality. The etude number 13 is all about legato and smooth string crossings. Let's work on it first in the slow tempo 8th note 60. The word legato comes from Italian word legare, to connect. And it's very important. That's a special ability of the string instrument to connect the notes. We are trying to imitate human voice. And when you are using the same bow, you'll get the best chance to play several notes in very connected way. We shouldn't take it for granted. Usually we tend to slightly stop the bow between notes. So you have to work on paying attention that your right hand is very relaxed and you don't hear even slight stop between notes. I'll be honest with you, when I listen to my recordings, I can always spot the moments when my right hand didn't go in perfectly smooth way. And I believe it's quite normal. The more attention we pay for the certain part of technique, the better we can play, the higher level we are trying to achieve. Just one more time, always pay attention the way you connect the notes, and you'll get better and better. We have number of string crossings to make here. So I think in terms of string crossings, the hardest spot is the third measure and after that in the third line. Let me play it for you. And you will notice that I'm trying again to change the angle of the bow. But now it's just more difficult because I still have to move the bow in the same direction. Attention and flexibility of your wrist will definitely help you to make an improvement here. I tried to do most of the work with the wrist, and I could feel that my elbow was moving in very smooth way, and it wasn't trying to chase the wrist with every string crossing. Try to play it several times and keep observing what is happening with your right hand. And that will definitely help you to learn the proper right hand technique so you can play without thinking much what is happening there. In the last line of this etude, there are two measures where you have to play 8 notes per bow. And the first measure even has crescendo. So you need to increase the volume. You can only do it well if you take care of the bow distribution. That is, you try not to spend too much of the bow for the first 4 notes. Actually, you try to spend as little as possible, so you will have more bow left for the last 4 notes. And you will have no problem making crescendo. You probably noticed that in the first measure I spent very little bow for the first 4 notes and made a crescendo. And in the second measure I did opposite way. I spent more bow for first 4 notes, still playing them fairly loud, and the last 4 notes I had less bow, and it was easier for me to make a diminuendo, especially when I had to use lower part of the bow, which usually sounds louder. After you give enough time to yourself working on this etude number 13 in a slower tempo, then you can play in a faster tempo. And I'll play it for you in the tempo quarter note 60, 2 times faster than slower tempo I just showed to you. Working on these etudes will give you a chance not only master spiccato, detache, and legato, but also to learn to relax. At first, you try to play it, there are so many things to take care of. But hopefully, little by little, you will be able to pay attention to the way you breathe and overall to the sound quality. And once you feel that you are able to do that, that means that you learned those etudes well. If you would like to play it with the second cello part recorded by me and can support Cellopedia, please become Cellopedia Patreon supporter. The link is in the description. And thank you. we will definitely keep working on this Piatti Cello method. Please come back to Cellopedia for more lessons. And thank you for watching.